What's going on, my people? Before we get started on this one, it's going to be a long one. Make sure you check out DNK Knives next time you are shopping for a pocket knife. And if you do purchase from there, you can use this coupon code behind the edge 10. One word, get you 10% off and free shipping and all that good stuff. So I thought this would be a cool topic to talk about. All four of these brands here are something a lot of people, or everybody should be aware of that's watching this video anyway. And I'm aware I'm going to catch some heat in this in the comments for some of the upcoming opinions in this video. But I still thought it would be something cool to talk about, to explore. And that is, are these brands and others deserving of their cult following? There's lots of fan favorite knife companies out there. So you might ask why I picked these brands, and other brands have a bigger or more significant following than these. But I picked these because simply it's the sample brands I have on hand and that I own. If this video is watched by more than 50 people, I'll probably do a future one, maybe a part 2 video on other brands like Cold Steel, Chris Reeves, other epic brands like those. And I think these four brands have a good following and heritage to justify their inclusion in the fact that they do have a cult following. Two of them are upper level production knives with a custom knife lineage, and two are more attainable full production companies. All are USA companies. Some have more rabid fans than others, but all are pretty successful. So what I think I might do here, I don't really have a plan in this video, but I did spend a ton of time writing this video. So what I think I'll do is go through each of these one brand at a time, probably start with my least favorite and move up to my favorite. That doesn't mean I don't like them all, because I do. I absolutely do like all of these brands. But just like anything else, I like some more than others. We'll probably start with Benchmade, because of the four, that's probably my least favorite. So Benchmade was founded by a man named Les Diasis. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm a moron. Oregon City, Oregon is where they are located. I believe they started with Balisong's butterfly knives. They produce over 1 million knives total per year, which is quite the accomplishment there. They have a good warranty, very well made, been around a long time. They offer free sharpening for life. I'm not sure if that's to the original owner or to any owner, but they have a good warranty. So hundreds of models over the years, and I mean tons of models. Good availability on all those models. Pretty much something for everyone. And like most heavy hitters, they use a ton of makers, designers, etc. I'm not sure who designed this particular one. It's one of my favorite Benchmades. This one was a gift, and it is fantastic. I love it. It's good size. But there are some... overall, Benchmade is an excellent brand with a long legacy to back it up. That being said, there's a couple gripes I have, and again, just opinions, but a ton of their models look alike. Perform, feel, and basically, to me, are an exact copy of the other. Very, very redundant. Just so many of them are familiar, or similar. Quite a few, actually, in my opinion. I don't know if that's necessarily a horrible thing. That just, there's all these brands that I'm showing here are kind of like that, with the exception of maybe Spyderco, and I'd get some arguments on that, because a lot of their knives look the same too, but they just have tons of freaking models that they still produce. But That's one gripe. It's not a huge thing, but I do think that, you know, they need to hire a designer that has a different vision, maybe sometimes, every once in a while. Next, the axis lock. For God's sakes, please use something else sometimes. It is a good lock, and I'm aware it's very popular. I just don't care for it. It's my opinion. It works great. Look, does what it's supposed to do. But just on every knife. I mean, no other company that I know of does that on this production level in this tier anyway. Let's say. Next, pricing. Everybody has the same complaint about Benchmade. It's about 20% higher than everyone else per material and manufacturing cost, etc. I feel like we're paying R&D costs forever. Like the butterfly tax is just perpetual and never ends. I understand they're a huge company, lots and lots and lots of overhead, but they pump out a ridiculous amount of knives, and it's part of capitalism, man. They're there to make money, and I get that, but I believe that they can knock that price down a little bit, and that's one of my things I like about Hinderer, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Yeah, so overall, they're a fantastic brand, and they're good, and sure, they do have a cult following that is deserving. All of these are, it's just I just wanted to give some opinions on, the good and the bad of every company. But if something brings you joy and it works and does its intended purposes, then I guess, yes, it is a good thing. And just so everybody knows, I do believe that they are all deserving. So if you were just here for the answer to that question, then consider it answered. Next, Hinderer, one of the tips of the Holy Trinity. If you don't know what that is, then look it up, because everybody that's watching this video should know. Shreve, Ohio is where the ranch is in the United States. Hinderer, as a knife maker, Rick Hinderer, been doing it since the 80s. Started out with art knives in a turkey coop. He is quite famous for running that fact into the ground. Small batch production knife maker, kind of on the entry level of the higher end. They make all their own components in-house. One of the first highly customizable knife companies. Lots of scales, hardwares, clips, etc. Are available to make it your own. Lots of models to choose from. Pretty much believe he's still making every model that he has made, up until the point that I know of anyway. Well, which is kind of rare at this level, the amount of models. Now, he doesn't pump out a ton of each, and not exactly often either. He kind of pumps out most of the big sellers the most, which makes sense, obviously. Lots of innovation over the years, too, to stay current. They started including the lock bar insert, switch to bearings, or the tri-way, which allows you to do two different kinds of washers or bearings if you choose. They include all those items as well. Rick Hinderer is the inventor of the lock bar stabilizer, which is a thing. It works good. It does its job. And they've managed to stay relatively in the same price range for over a decade at least now. So this particular knife is at stock, it's $425. The scale is extra, but at $425, to me, that is a good deal. And yeah, extremely well made, and they are very consistent. Their quality control is very good. I've owned many Hinderers in the past. I've never once gotten a bad one. Even the older ones that didn't have the lock bar insert or the bearings, they were all great. And I'm sure somebody has gotten a bad one before, but their consistency level is pretty good. And each knife can easily last an entire lifetime or two. And I definitely believe that. Overall, very cool brand maker with decades of experience making iconic knives. There is some cons, I guess you can call them cons, on any of these. Aside from the Fire Tack, Maximus, or the Full Track, all of the other models share basically the same exact profile, which isn't exactly a bad thing, but some people talk about it, so I figured I'd bring it up. They're just smaller or larger, or slightly different, but very much they kind of stick to the same profile for most of the models. Questionable heat treats in the past, which is kind of a big deal. They do quite good with the S45. That's why I prefer it on a Hinderer. Kind of questionable on the Magna Cut. They don't seem to care, so they just do it anyway. Is what it is. 20 CV is okay. The S35 that they used to do wasn't bad either, but you know, I've seen some videos of people talking about it, so I figured I would bring it up. Most of the models are very, very thick behind the edge. They're not exactly slicey. They're kind of skewed towards the hard use kind of deal, which I think is something I like. I think it's cool. I like a robust tool, but I actually do want it to cut, and I really care that if it cuts and cuts well. Now, if you keep it sharp enough, this is my all-time motto. If it's sharp enough, it'll cut. But, you know, it is still a thing. Another thing is they are desperate need of a new model. Last new model I believe they came out with was the Project X. It's cool. They just don't make a ton of them. I do think they're in desperate need of a new model for sure. Next, hardware needs to be universal. Instead of having your Phillips, Torx, and a flathead, and I know people are going to say you could just use a dime, or you can use your thumbnail, whatever. It's a flathead. I think all the hardware should be universal in this day of age. And Rick loves to pump out cease and desist letters, keeping his lawyers busy. Doesn't really handle critique well. I'm going to leave that right there at that. But overall, I love Hinderer. They're a good brand to collect in the lower end of the high-end knives. And they'll last forever pretty much, in my opinion. I guess I would call this like an entry-level collector. Like when I first started collecting knives, I dreamed of having a Hinderer, and once I got one, I was super pumped about it, and I loved it, and still love it. And I'm sure I will own more. I know I will. We're going to move on to another tip of the Holy Trinity, which is Strider. They are out of Oceanside, California. They also started in the 80s. Another small batch production knife maker with custom knife lineage. And step up, maybe, in level on the higher end of the production knives. They certainly are more expensive. But A+ tier heat treats. A+, I believe currently they use Peter's heat treat. They've used Boss heat treats in the past. I'm not sure who all they've used, but I swear by their heat treats. They are fantastic, always, no matter the blade steel. Probably the best S30V you can get, aside from Spyderco, or maybe equal to Spyderco. Never had any problems whatsoever with their heat treats. They've always been phenomenal. Even incredible grinds, even in the catalog pieces, just their basic stuff. Their grinds are awesome, fantastic. Proven performance over 3 decades. Basically bulletproof tools. Absurd amount of special editions, collaborations, exclusives, limited runs. I mean, if you can think it, they've done it, and they continue to do quite a bit of that stuff. Also, very durable coatings and finishes. I love the way it looks. A lot of people don't, but I do, and it is very robust. It holds up really well, and you know, they've proven that over quite a few years of doing the same thing. So, next, cool factor is maxed all the way out on the brand. To me, this is one of the coolest knives ever, brands ever. Their designs are just right up my alley, and they do it for me. Obviously, that doesn't do that for everybody, but I like it. And cult following does not even really begin to explain the fans of Strider, and I'm a huge fan. But the actual Striderholic guys, like I said, cult following does not even begin to sum that up at all. They have a lifetime warranty, quote unquote. So that's the good stuff. Some of the bad, or some cons. Not a lot here, but there's an absurd amount of controversy surrounding the brand. I'm not going to get into that whatsoever because I really just don't know all the details, facts, all that. There's a lot of forums out there that you can check out if you're interested. Also, probably the most serious thing about the brand, some very serious QC issues over the years with not much of an addressing of the issues, which isn't helped by the fans. We seem to kind of chalk it up to no big deal, which I'm guilty of as well. To be completely honest, out of 10 Striders that I've owned, and I've owned more than that, let's just say 10, out of every 10 I've owned, 3 have had some pretty bad lockup issues. Even more than that has had less than awesome action. I just don't think it'll ever be addressed, and it's just going to be something that's what it is. Kind of sucks. But anyway, pricing isn't awful. Table price or catalog price, if you get it from them at a show or off the website, but the secondary is just bananas. I understand it kind of on the older pieces that are no longer made by Mick himself. You know, they're going to carry the price tag, and probably deservingly so, especially in the customs, because they are quite a bit better than the catalog basic stuff. But yeah, it's a thing. There's a lot of controversy. It'll never keep me from buying Striders like this one. This is essentially a brand new knife. I've carried it less than 10 times, used it even less than that. It has extremely late lockup. It wouldn't even lock up when I first got it. I had to make it so. I had to adjust it, which essentially voided the warranty if they know about it, which I would never send it back anyway. So the lockup is extremely late. It doesn't have lock stick, but I have a feeling it will eventually, which sucks because it's a very expensive knife. It's a very good knife, but the quality control issues over the years just seems it should be addressed. That's really all I can say about it, you know. Not sure it ever will, but again, like I said, I'm guilty of it too. They probably won't because there's no need to, because they still fly off the shelf like nobody's business. I'm going to catch some heat in the comments from that. Next and last, my favorite, Spyderco Golden Colorado. Says it right there on the blade, so you don't forget. On par or even exceeding production levels of Benchmade. However, they're not all in the United States. They also make knives from out of China, Japan, Taiwan, Italy. More models than any company that I'm aware of, period. I'm sure there is maybe a company out there that makes more models. I mean, current production, but I'm not aware of it. Next level heat treats industry leading in steel diversity. They use more steels than anybody, which is super cool for the steel nerds like myself. They kind of lean towards more performance over everything because a lot of their knives are ugly as hell, but they're going towards performance, and I appreciate that. First company to use a pocket clip. One fun fact there. And even the budget options are pretty good. The stuff out of China, it's built well. The stuff out of Japan is built very well. Taiwan is exceptional, and the American stuff is exceptional. The only one I have kind of a little bit of a hang up with is the Italian knives, and only because of the heat treat protocols. But, you know, they say they're fixing that, or they have fixed that. Who knows? So many good things really can be said about Spyderco, and it's by far my favorite production knife company. My favorite work knives and general users because they just work really well. And to me, they definitely deserve the cult following more than any of the others. They've been around for decades as well, since the 80s. And I don't have a lot to say bad about Spyderco or consider it a con, maybe, other than they should probably go ahead and phase out VG10 and the 8CR and the Chinese ones. They need to phase that on out, really. There's no reason to continue. And even S30V, you know, there's no reason to continue to use these steels. I think they're holding themselves back by using some of those, especially like the models out of Taiwan, which are fantastic. But there's no reason to keep using S30V. I think they're holding themselves back from selling more knives. You know, yeah. So I made it through all 4 or 5 pages of this. Yeah. So really, I guess it's my opinion. Yeah, sure, they do deserve their, especially these models here, deserve the cult following. It brings you joy and it makes you happy, and it does the job it's supposed to do. Maybe a little too expensive, maybe not getting what you're paying for. Maybe they could do a little something different every once in a while and get rid of VG10. Yeah, pretty good. All right, guys, that's all I got on this one. I am 1 subscriber away from getting 3,000. I'll probably get that subscriber at some point today or tomorrow. That would be awesome. But I will do a 3,000 subscriber giveaway. Won't be nothing fantastic or awesome because I don't have a lot to give away, but I'll get something together to do that. I appreciate everybody who watches and subscribes, and absolutely appreciate all the members, Patreon members. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Remember to be good to each other, love each other, and because life is way too short to be a dumb cunt. Later.